Welcome to Through It All, I've Got You with Mark and Sharanda. We're on season 2, episode 1. How you doing tonight, baby?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing good. A little busy day today.
Busy, a little sleepy, but yep.
You can power through.
I empowered through it.
I appreciate you.
Weathered the storm.
Weathered the storm. We had
Going into the office.
the not snowmageddon in Charlotte.
Yeah, just that little bit.
Just
that
a little
was,
bit.
yeah.
I didn't even check to see if all the bread and milk were gone.
I didn't either.
I know the eggs are gone because there's no eggs anywhere right now with everything going on.
I went in the store the other day when people were preparing for it, and the lady was like, "Oh, you getting?" I said, "No, I'm just in here getting stuff that we eat on a regular basis. I'm not in here preparing for no snow or whatever." So she's like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yep."
Yeah, we're used to that here in the Carolinas.
Yes.
We're used to that. Well, we're here to talk a little bit about starting off season 2, and we'll hit some different topics this season. The goal is also to have some guests come in and do some discussions with some couples and see how that goes. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate in North and South Carolina, reach out to us. Sharanda is licensed in North and South Carolina, and I'm just licensed in North Carolina. But we can help you with investment properties, buying your home, selling your home, and anything in between.
Yep. And if you know anybody, send the referrals. We love referrals.
We do. That's the best way to show gratitude, is send others to help. If you don't already subscribe to our channel, please like and subscribe on YouTube and on Apple Podcast or Spotify. You can hit follow, and every time we drop a new episode, you'll get notified. And then also follow us on Instagram. The goal this year is to not just post us, but post some things that we read or learn on there, just some sayings here and there that can help you in your marriage journey, wherever you are, whether you're not married yet and you're moving in that direction, or you are married. So today we're going to talk a little bit about outside influences. We're going to talk a little bit about distractions, kind of the same thing. And when I think about outside influences, I don't necessarily just go to negative. I think there's some positive aspects to outside influence as well. Yeah. And then we'll touch on some that, frankly, we've had to deal with in our marriage, and it caused us some struggle in our marriage, but we've made it through it.
Yeah.
We've learned from it. I know I've definitely learned from it. Even before we started recording tonight, you said, "Hey, are you done with that?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am. I'm good."
Done with your brain farts.
Yeah. And how long it was, whether it was a small one or a long one, we made it through it, and I'm happy about it, that we can sit here and talk about it and have it be help someone else not to go through that. Anything you want to start us off with?
No, you're doing really good.
Well, thank you. Well, I love to go positive first.
Yeah, I would say outside influence it's not always bad. You can have good influence coming from, the outside. So yeah.
Yeah, there are several that I can think about. We've been very blessed to have our parents are still married. They're still alive. They're still married, and they've got 50 plus years, 60 years in marriage. As we've grown older, we've been able to have conversations with them and seen it for our own eyes that the entire time it hasn't been roses.
No. And
whether you look at that as a positive outside influence or negative, to me, it shows that there's staying power in marriage. And so I look at the positive. I know every day won't be good. Every journey won't be rosy. And both of our parents have had some rocky situations that may have taken a lot of people out, right?
Yeah, would have caused divorce.
They were determined to stay married, even though they didn't feel like it probably at the time. But as the Bible says, this too shall pass.
I think it comes with maturity and the older generation, the way they were brought up. The younger generation, they're not having it.
Yeah, they tend to move at a different pace.
Yeah.
We always say the microwave generation, and we're microwave came It wasn't in the beginning of our generation, but it came. And then the instant gratification and all the different things seem to, I guess, introduce less patience with
Maybe.
things. And you're quicker to move on from most anything. People are quicker to move on from jobs. People are quicker to move on from relationships. People are quicker to move on from marriages and not really have the fortitude to see it through. And, that just deepens you. Anytime you go through something with someone and you come out on the other side, it tends to deepen that relationship. I think about friendships. I think about sports, being a part of teams. If you go through adversity and come out on the other side, you're just bonded even that much more.
Yeah. Or taking their vows, it's said for better or for worse. So if the worst keeps getting worse, just gotta make it work somehow.
Make it work and know that the better is coming.
The better is coming, definitely.
If you can get through it. So some of the other, I think, outside influences I would look at is being around, really investing. We talk about this a little bit, but investing in our marriage and going to, whether it's classes, seminars, going to other marriage functions. Those have been some really good outside influences. You build staying power when you do those types of things. And you can see examples of people that talk about the good, right? Because I love the good. I don't like bad. Bad is inevitable. It happens, but I just tend not to try to dwell on it. But you get a chance to get around couples and just have what I say like-minded conversations.
Yeah.
You get to cut
up, laugh, have fun. And that's something we said we were going to start doing, like having game night with couples so we can do those things.
Yep, that's something we need to do. Probably want to get a little bit warmer. People tend to hibernate when it gets cold and not want to get out much. So we'll do that. Some other ones I can think of recently, and I may try to think back earlier in our marriage, that some positive outside influences. I think here recently it's just that it's going to happen. We've seen some people leaving this earth. And last week we went to a funeral of one of my closest friends, someone I've known since I was 6 years old, and his mother passed away, and she battled with a long-term illness that had her not, she wasn't really herself. She was incapacitated for a number of years, and what I got from that is his father. His father stayed by her side 15 plus years, 20 plus years while she was battling that. And, he showed what for better or worse means it in
True
sickness
love.
and in health.
Yeah.
He demonstrated that, and just seeing that was so encouraging. And they talked a little bit about that in the eulogy, that he truly loved her. So that was, to me, that is something that I can draw on now, and I'll be able to draw on that for the rest of my life of seeing that example. Another one is, we talked about our parents. I think about my aunt and uncle. My aunt actually named me, and they've been married. Man, I don't know the number of years. It's got to be in the 60s.
I think so.
But they've stayed together and shared some things that has shown staying power.
Staying power, yeah.
So,
and just truly sweet. She's both of them sweet, humble people, and you can really just glean from them, get some wisdom and knowledge, just full of it.
Yeah, and if you don't have, not everyone is blessed to have that type of longevity that they can look to in their families or in their extended circle. And I would suggest or encourage you to seek that out. Seek out mentors, whether it's in the church or wherever that is. Seek out some folks, some couples that have had staying power, and get to know them and get around them and find out how they were able to overcome. And hopefully they'll share some of the pain points. They'll share some of the tidbits that help you, that will help you, and something you can draw on when you go through, some adversity in your marriage. Because it comes. And so those are a couple things I think about in a positive light when I think about outside influences. Sometimes movies, cheesy as it sounds, they're not real. Every once in a while, they're based on a true story. But, you know, sometimes those feel-good moments can help you as well. Any other positive outside influences you can think about in marriage?
No. None come to mind right now.
Okay. Well, I did look up some, and then we'll get into some of the things that you want to avoid. And I'm gonna look at my phone because I don't have them memorized, but I did, you know, I did think about some things and looked up some things. So some of the outside influences they talk about in marriage, as you do some research, it talks about family dynamics. And that can, you know, we'll stay there for a couple seconds. Family dynamics they can break up a marriage.
Oh, yeah.
They can introduce a lot of stress into a marriage. And they can also introduce a lot of joy into a marriage, depending on those dynamics. As you think about marriage, you are two people individually coming together to start your own family, your immediate family. You're not separating from your siblings or parents, but you are pulling away so that you can pull together. And so you have to kind of remember first things first.
Right. Like family is big to us, and we were never like alienate our families out of our lives, but we make it a point to make sure, hey, this is us. And then we also, you know, include our families. We do a lot of stuff with our families, so it's not nothing that really affects us.
But it could. We don't have that necessarily have that situation, but I've seen it to where, you know, if you think about blended families, and we'll get into that, you know, where blended families have caused heartache in marriages. The kids, or they have kids together, and the step siblings cause heartache. So that's something to be aware of and to talk about, you know, whether you're married or not. Talk about how your family dynamics. You can say, man, I got this crazy uncle, and just when he comes around, just know that's a grown man. I can't, you know, we can limit. Can't control him, but we can limit his influence and not take it personal. Just know that's how he, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, the other is, and we talked a little bit about this, our generation and where we are just is social media. Social media can help or hurt a relationship.
Yeah. Especially if you spend too much time on it, day, night, focused on it, that phone in your hand, scrolling.
And getting a false sense, right? You're getting a false sense of what someone else's life looks like. And it's snapshots. It's not necessarily staged, but it could be. So you compare to those things, and you introduce that into your family dynamic, into your marriage. And it could be unfair to hold someone to another person's standard, which can cause stress and strife.
You know what? A new rule we should have: no phones in the bedroom.
I'm with it.
As we go to bed, no phones.
Now, what if you play music off the phone?
That's different.
Okay, but you mean
I'm talking about going to bed.
Scrolling.
Yeah. That's
going to be tough for you, isn't it?
It's not going to be tough for me. The last couple of nights you have been on it. So, no, I make sure my alarm is on and lay it down.
Okay, that's a good rule. Well, I'm with it. A couple more we'll touch on.
Oh, gosh.
Financial issues. That's more of an inside influence than the outside. Well, it could be if you take on someone else's burden, right? So let's say you're giving out money to such and such, and not including your spouse in those decisions. That because that person is on the outside, that's causing that strife inside. So
if someone comes to ask for money, depending on the person, so should they come to the both of you, or if they're closer to one person, should they go to that one person and ask? To
me, they're going to go to who they're close to, and it's on you to go to your spouse. It's not on them to do the work you need to do. That's not on them. They need a hand. They're just trying to get, that help.
Yeah.
I think it's up to the spouse to go to the other one to fill them in. Yeah.
What if it's like a certain amount? Should they still, if it's big amounts, discuss. If it's small amount, what do you think?
I think it's all relative to you all decide, because big to some can be small to others, and small to some can be huge to others. So I think it's something that you should discuss. Hey, if you want to give them out of your money, and I'm putting up air quotes, because some people have, hey, this is money
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
into a joint. And then
Yeah.
you got your spending money, and I've
Yep.
got my spending money, and we
Your
don't.
allowance.
Yeah, I don't get into what you spend. You don't get into
Right.
what and you
That
want to
is
give them out of
true.
yours. Now, if you get them out of the joint, we need to talk about it because that money is allocated for something else. So,
Yeah,
that's one way of looking at it.
that's true.
And then the last couple ones, and then we'll jump into, we'll just jump right in because this is the one I looked at also is talked about work stress. So work stress is an outside influence that can cause strife in the marriage. It can cause some animosity, and not necessarily just also the workload that you have, but it could be co-workers that can put some outside stress on your marriage. And we'll get into a situation that we ran into, and I'll say that I put us in this situation unknowingly. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't anything that I felt like, hey, I'm doing wrong and I'm just going to keep doing it. It was I had a former coworker, and you have access to my phones, my codes. You don't, to my knowledge, you don't scroll through looking for stuff. It's just, I know yours, same thing. I mean, we're not there. So it just so happened I was reading something, and I don't remember how, but you saw some emojis, and he was like, what's this? I was like, I don't know. It's just, someone I'm doing some stuff with, working on a project with at work. And as you dug a little deeper, you was like, hey, there's a pattern going on, and you're not shutting this pattern down. I was like, what are we talking about? I'm not doing nothing. And though that how it started. Looking at that situation, I disagreed with your assessment, and you completely disagreed with my assessment of it. And that led to us bickering. It led to us fighting. It led to us really putting a strain on our relationship, on our marriage, to the point that we were just completely unhappy with each other. I looked at it as I felt like you thought I didn't have control over me, that I would slip up and some impropriety. That's what I felt. And you felt what?
I didn't feel that. I just felt like in that moment you got caught up and you didn't see it that way, because your reaction back to some of the messages and stuff playing, and I think there should be a line drawn. You have to there should be a line drawn. I mean, you can have fun at work, but I felt like at that moment that person roped you in, but you didn't feel that way because some of the response that you were giving back and responding back with emojis, and I had to Google emojis for you to see what they really meant. And so, we went back and forth. It was a long process that we went through. And then by that happening, I remember going on a work trip with him. We had planned to go to visit certain city. I'm not going to say where, but we had planned to go visit. Before we left here, it was like, hey, since we're going to be that close, let's drive up to such and such, since him and I had never been. And then we're going to visit that one and another one. And so I wasn't there. I don't even know how the conversation came up, but the person overheard the conversation, like, ooh, I want to go with you guys. And my husband thought it was okay. And I was like, I don't know how that's okay for a single female to go with a husband and wife an hour away on a trip. I was like, that's not normal. And so that became a big thing, and just, I don't know, it just really became a big thing. But he thought it was okay, and he was like, because I'm a nice person. I said, I'm not that nice to want some single female riding in the car with us going on the trip. So, he had to tell her no, she couldn't go. And so that was just, a big thing.
And again, it was, as I look at it, it was innocent, but even in innocence, you can be wrong. You can be unaware that, even the emojis. I was like, man, I don't mean, if I send something back and not knowing what it means, does that make it wrong or right?
It made it
wrong, because that person may know what it means and thinking, hey, okay, they're engaging with this.
Right.
And I wasn't. I mean, I really wasn't engaging. There was no impropriety. There was no mindset to flirt with that person or engage with that person. It's just getting caught up in something and unaware. And
it's easily to do, but you being married should know those things. Like if someone sent me something, I'm going to be aware. I think females are more aware than guys are. I don't know if you guys just want to be oblivious to it or just like, oh, nobody wants me, or I don't know, but we know if someone walked up to us right now and be like, oh, those some pretty shoes. Oh, you're cute. Are you married? We know off the gate. Okay, they're trying to holler.
yeah, to me that's obvious, right? Nice shoes, you cute. That's
okay, not even with the you cute. Okay.
I mean, nice shoes. You could have nice shoes.
Yes.
And they could say, "Where'd you get those?" I want to get them for my wife or my girlfriend. She would look good in those. But we're not that oblivious to those pants fitting you good. I mean, all right.
Oh God.
I don't think we're that oblivious. I tend to think that if it's very overt, if it's overt, we know, we can tell. But if it's something that's subtle, the reason it's not that we're trying to ignore it or thinking that no one wants us, is that we ain't thinking about it. We ain't thinking about
subtle,
them.
those are ones you gotta be aware of, because that's how it starts. Subtle.
Yeah, I agree. It can start subtle. And I always go back to this, you're gonna slip up and find it. I'm like, you don't slip up and then all of a sudden you.
That's what happens. You get caught up in the hee-heeing and laughing and the sending emojis, and next thing you know,
You ain't in the hotel
hey, can
room.
we go?
Yeah,
Can we go out to lunch? Can we go out to dinner?
That ain't. I'm thinking of something comical where you slip up and then all of a sudden you. I mean that.
Oh God.
And I think that was the other point. That was the other point of contention. I was like, you're telling me what I'm gonna do. Like I have no control over who I am and what I am and what I do. Like I'm not about to get a shot and then I wake up in bed with a chick. You know what I mean? It's just,
you act like you wasn't in control of your fingers sending the messages back and forth.
I was in control, but I didn't think it was that.
I thought it was innocent.
Yeah, because it was in my mind. It wasn't. I wasn't trying to flirt. I wasn't trying to get with her. I wasn't any of that. That was the furthest thing from my mind. It is not on my mind. You know what I mean? That
boundaries. That's the word I was looking for. Boundaries.
See, you should have found it a long time ago.
Boundaries.
Now
you have to set boundaries.
Yeah, I get that. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on the boundaries. It is something that I've talked to guys, right, and they have said this. My wife doesn't pay me attention, but this girl at work, she's paying me attention a little bit more, and I enjoy it. To me, that's something that they recognize that's something that they're in. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I've had those conversations with some married guys. I'm like, listen, hey, you got to be aware of that. That's not. Mm-hmm. If you're starting to feel that way, that's cool. And I didn't feel that way at all. I didn't feel that she was paying more attention than you, right. Any of those things. It doesn't have to be a 1-for-1,
right?
An exact example. But what it could do, and this is where I faulted, and I do see now, is that how it made you feel. And I think that's one of the most important things, is even if your intentions are wholesome, but if it makes your spouse feel one way, you've got to decide, do I want to be right or do I want to get it right? If this is causing some type of feelings to my spouse, I need to reel that in, because obviously what I'm doing they're not in agreement with. And that's where I struggled, right? I was like, just because you feel that way don't make it wrong. And I didn't consider you the way I should have in that particular situation.
And you go back to prioritizing your spouse, in that, that is one way to avoid the outside influence. You got to set time for each other. That's important. Whether you can't work all the time, it can't be work. And then what about your spouse? Because they're going to feel like, okay, well, he or she's at work all the time. So they're going to try to find something to fill that void.
Yeah. And again, this situation was not me feeling neglected.
No,
You
it
know,
wasn't.
It wasn't me feeling neglected. It was what I thought was innocent, and innocent wasn't it. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. And
Oh, gosh.
you know, I said it to you, and I'll say it. It's comical now. I was like, listen, if you're gonna leave me, I should have got some or something. I should have did something. You want to
He
leave
really
me?
wanted to die then.
Yeah, well, I know I don't want to die, but I was like, listen, if it's gonna be this bad, I should have to me, I should have done something to deserve this. And I was like, I didn't do anything to deserve this
But
wrath.
it's guarding. You didn't guard. You didn't guard yourself. You didn't guard us. It's about guarding,
Yeah.
guarding your marriage.
And it's a lesson. You know what I mean? It's a lesson that I can live to say that I learned. We can say that we overcame.
Oh yeah.
You know, to the point where you was like, imagine I did the same thing to you, or imagine this. And I'm like, well, then everybody's dead. I got to wipe out whole families because they're gonna be coming for me. But you know, I said that comically. It wasn't. You know, I just didn't feel like it was something. But again, knowing that this can be anything. Knowing how your spouse took that outside influence, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be another person. It could be your vehicle. It could be, we talked about your job. It could be your parents. It could be your children that you're putting them before your spouse. So you have to, you said it really well. Prioritize your spouse in everything, because that will help you think through situations and you know, make good decisions on, is this something that will alienate them or alienate us from each other?
Right.
Or is this something that draws us closer together? And when you think like that, it helps. And it's not natural all the time to think that way. You're gonna stumble, you're gonna fall.
Yep. But get back up.
But get back up. Is that what you just said?
Get back up.
Get back up.
Yep.
I ain't gonna sing the Donnie McClurkin song because you don't.
Please don't.
You don't like that song, and you don't like my singing probably, but I can
Oh
sing.
gosh.
As we wrap this episode up.
So some ways.
Oh, well, okay, we're not wrapping it up. Go ahead.
Some ways that you can avoid
Okay.
outside influences.
Well, negative outside influence.
Negative outside influence. That is, yes, correct. Definitely communication. Communication is the number one key in everything. Married, not married, whatever, but communication. Communicating.
Yeah, that's even one of the top reasons for divorce is a lack of communication.
Yep.
And we talked about that in season 1. If you're just joining us now, you can go back and listen to. We talked about communication leads to, and it can lead to a lot of different things. It can lead to intimacy, she whispered. So I'm gonna keep on talking to see if that works. It leads to,
You have to communicate, not talk.
yes. And you got to get to the why. What am I really trying to say, as opposed, and what am I saying? So it's two things to that. So communication is key.
Yes.
Another one is boundaries. You talked about that already. Setting boundaries. Hey, let's just make sure that we understand this is a line in the sand we don't cross.
That's right.
Don't bring no single women over here if I'm not here.
Oh yeah, or ride them in your car.
Or ride them in your car.
The Bible talks about that. It says, "Don't let your good be evil spoken of." And I'm not a jealous type wife. My husband can tell you, but just don't let your good be evil spoken of, because you don't know what that other person's intent is.
That's right. I mean, I've made it a habit. Take it, like it, don't use it. If I'm texting a female, I tend to say, "Hey, let's include my wife on the text."
Yep.
If I'm gonna help you with something or this, that, and the other, I'm gonna add my wife to the text, and then you have some that make sure that they're included.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, this is just for Mark, but I'm just texting it in this, and so you appreciate that because people respect that sanctity, and they understand that. To your point, don't let your good be evil spoken of. So I appreciate that. Another one you can think about when you try to make sure you limit negative outside influence is quality time, making sure that you set aside quality time for each other. And
It's important.
yeah, quality time is not just walking or talking, or it's sometimes intentional conversations. Talking, I said walking and talking, but talking. It's intentional conversations where you're
sitting
down,
looking at each other,
putting the phone to the side, and talking about some things.
Yeah. And
listening, and then learning, recapping, all of those things.
Yeah.
Is really good. And then, if you've had some really tough struggles with outside influences and you don't seem to, you can't just get through it. You can't get over it. You can't get over the hump. It's prolonged. Maybe seek professional help.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, you're trying to sustain your marriage, and whatever helps you sustain it, that's what you need to do. And you have to understand that you could be wrong in that situation.
Agreed.
And be able to accept the wrong and get it right.
Agreed.
And we're not immune to getting people to listen in and, hey, give us your opinion. We've done it for others, and I know if we need it, we'll do it, because there's no pride in trying to get it right.
Mm-mm. Even with the situation we just discussed, I went to several people. I wanted to make sure. I was like, is it me? And it was like, no, it wasn't you. I was like, I just want to make sure that I wasn't overreacting, to the situation.
I should have gave you a couple people to talk to. Maybe they would have.
You could have talked to your people. You didn't want to, because you knew you were wrong.
No, don't say that.
That's right.
Don't say that. I didn't know I was wrong.
He was scared to go talk to his people.
I wasn't scared to talk to my people. I was going to give you some people to talk to that would take my opinion, is what I was going to do.
They were not going to take your side, babe.
We'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know, because you was too scared to go talk to someone.
You don't keep telling me I was scared. I wasn't scared.
It's okay, babe.
I wasn't scared. Yes, it's okay, but I wasn't scared. It's not a problem.
God, he didn't want to be proved wrong, y'all.
You just want to keep going with this thing. It's not that I didn't want to be proved wrong. I left it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I did.
Okay.
Well, folks, if you don't currently follow us, please do. You can hit the subscribe button on YouTube, or you can follow on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, however you listen. And what that does is notifies you when we drop new episodes. Also, please share it with someone.
Yes.
If you know someone that is considering marriage, are married, it doesn't matter the time. We hope to just provide some nuggets that'll help people stay married. And leave us comments. Please share your thoughts, ideas, suggestions, good, bad, ugly, not too ugly. That helps us grow and consider other things. I had someone the other day I was talking to, and they said, hey, have you considered talking to people that have been divorced? And I never considered that, but I think that is something that we should think about, because every first marriage may not have worked. And maybe that people have a desire to do that again, and want to hear from someone that, or someone's that it didn't work with, and so they can avoid that. So just things like that, when you have conversations, will help you think of things you didn't think of for this.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, we thank you for tuning in. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening, everyone.